Hello and welcome to my office. My name's Emma Hignett and this is Giving Your Business a Voice. A little bit about me, first of all. I will try and be there on the day. I'll try and log in so that I can answer any questions you have. This presentation I hope will take about 20 minutes. Myself, I have spent 14 years in the past working in radio as a radio presenter. I also ran a radio station. I have 15 years experience working in public relations in agencies and in a freelance capacity. I've created my own boutique agency, and I have, alongside that, 27 years experience as a voiceover artist. So I'm best known as the voice of London's buses. Since 2006 I have been heard on every bus in London, and then I was trying to work out who else I voice for, and I can never remember them off the top of my head. And so I looked back, and in the course of the last month, as well as working for Transport for London and the New Elizabeth line, I've recorded for Fendi, Thales, Daimler, Mercedes, Santander, Manpower Group, Dorling Kindersley, to name but a few. Anyway, away from the voiceover world for now, into the PR world. When I first entered the public relations world, it was about 2005, it was all about the press release, and it was all about getting written coverage for your story. So much of the work I've done was about getting coverage in local papers. If you could get national papers, all the better. You might then aim to get radio or even television coverage as well. Local radio, local TV were always great coverage for your clients. But move to 2020 and public relations. Well, the written word, the newspapers and the trade publications do not have anywhere near the clout that they did 15 years ago. So online has become the absolute must. I sometimes wonder if getting those press releases out into the local paper is to a degree about keeping your client happy and for their ego, and that actually most of the public relations work is being done through social media, through online news bulletins, through e-newsletters. You have still got radio. I love local radio. I think, thank God for local BBC radio as well, because they're still talking to your clients and you can still get stories out there about businesses reopening post-lockdown, that kind of thing. But online, it has to be said, is king as far as public relations is concerned, and the PR is managing Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and influencers and web content and blogs and e-newsletters, and so it goes on and on and on. But as I mentioned at the beginning of this, I have two businesses. I have my public relations one, but I also have my voiceover business that's been going for a long time. So, in the course of a day, I'm going to spend some of my time in the studio with my headphones on. I'm going to spend some of my time here at this desk, but editing audio, and then I'm going to spend time writing press releases, doing a lot of social media. I do now a lot of photography and a lot of videography for clients as well as part of their public relations. And this sort of, the PR world, the interactive PR world now, yes, we're targeting publications and online publications. Yes, we're targeting radio and television. Social media, I've mentioned that, massively influential. Video, increasingly influential. And this is where we start to cross over with my voiceover world. And then I've started finding that my voiceover world is mixing into the PR. And I'm doing things like public announcements for systems within businesses, and I'm doing announcements or recordings to go on their websites. So if they have a 3D immersive tour, you can then have a guide to your 3D immersive tour, which has really got me thinking about how my two businesses combine, and how we now, as well as looking at an interactive sort of marketing campaign and all the elements of marketing, as well as having video in it, we need a voice as well. Your business needs to have a voice that matches its brand. I'm going to play you a couple of things. I hope you can hear these. So one of my clients is Durham Markets, and this is just internal announcements in the market hall. I hope you can hear this.
Welcome to Durham Markets. We're doing everything we can to make the market hall a safe place for you to shop.
And so I've done a series of announcements that go out around the market hall for my client as well. And then we've done a 3D tour that you can go into and go round and learn the history of the market. So this is another one I've done recently for my PR client. The third Marquess of Londonderry on horseback was one of the Duke of Wellington's commanders in the war against Napoleon I. So that is, there's a guided tour that you can do on your phone, and you can go around the marketplace and the back of the market hall and everything. And there's basically a description to it. I can talk you through that guided tour. And so I'm finding that actually having the studio to hand is becoming a benefit to my voiceover clients. And it got me thinking about, when you do a voiceover, the client has to pick the right voiceover for their business. So it's as much a part of the branding as every other element, as your logo and everything. And this is one that I particularly really love that's been running this summer. My husband couldn't believe it when I said, I love that voice. This is Asda.
Get your cook on with Asda. You can cook up a storm because we're committed to low prices every day on the quality products you need.
I love that voice. I love it. I just love her voice. But you can't imagine it on the phone system. You can't imagine phoning Asda and sort of being put on hold, or you're trying to sort of get through to customer services or and the like, if you've maybe ordered online and you need to do something about your account. I can't imagine that particular voice doing your sort of, please hold now, somebody will be with you in 5 seconds. But it's about, so my presentation today is about finding the right voice, but then also knowing how to work with voiceovers, what to expect and what to give them, what to provide them, so that you get exactly what you want. So, working with voiceovers, giving your business the right voice. Find the right voice. There are so many voiceovers out there. It might take you a while going listening for them. Maybe you've heard it on another advert. You can actually, as I did today, Google Asda radio adverts and go and find them. You can actually, if you've heard the voice you like, go and Google and find it. That you can just go through voice after voice after voice after voice to find the one you want. But also remember that they may do different styles. They may not. So you need to make sure that that voice that you're talking to, that you're engaging with, does actually do exactly what you're wanting, the feel that you want. The other thing that I would recommend is that and their website will probably give you this information, but you need a tried and tested studio. So loads of voiceovers have studios, but loads of people who are just setting up as voiceovers and for whom it might be a hobby rather than a business also can afford these days to buy a microphone and buy a preamp to link it in by USB to their computer, and suddenly they're sort of head under a duvet and recording in their bedroom. And you're not going to get the same quality with someone who hasn't got a proper studio built with soundproofing and compression and experienced in using the equipment in it. So it's well worth investigating that that studio is well set up and that the sound is good. So once you're sure you've got who you want, I recommend that working in a voiceover, the more information you can give them before they get in the studio to record for you, the better. So if there's something that you've heard that you like, if there's something on their demo that you like, make sure you tell them. If there's a particular pace you want, if you want it slow because you're talking to people for whom English isn't their first language, if you want it natural and chatty, you need to get all this across to the person voicing for you before they even go in the studio. And also it's worth asking if you can listen in to the recording. They may charge you more for that benefit, but that way you can know that you're getting what you want, and that the feel and the tone of it and just the sort of ambience it creates is exactly what you're looking for. The other thing that's worth doing, and you'll find I find a lot of producers do this, is if you've directed it and said, this is what I'm like, yeah, it's sounding right, it's sounding exactly as I want it, then on the end say to them, do you know what? Just go and do another take and do it exactly how you think it should be. And sometimes, just sometimes, the voiceover brings it to life in a way that you didn't expect from their experience. And actually, that could be the take you actually wanted rather than the one you directed. So well worth working with a voiceover and experimenting a little, knowing what you want, but experimenting a little as well. Right, so on to the script. Right, so it's your job to prepare the script. When you're timing a script, do not do it like this. because you will read it much quicker than you can possibly say it out loud, and you'll think that you can get it all into 30 seconds and you just can't. There is a guideline that you'll get 3 words per second, but obviously 1, words are different lengths, and 2, you know what, some people talk faster if they're doing it conversational, but if they're trying to do it clear and get the message and the sales through to you, it's going to quite possibly be slower. You might want it slower because your audience might not have English as their first language. So it is well worth reading it out properly, because it'll give you 2 things. 1, it'll give you a better idea of the time, and 2, you will know if you've made any mistakes in the script if you read it out loud, because there are going to be voiceovers out there who will charge you additions if you've made script errors and then you go back and go, oh, I wrote that wrong, can you just redo this? There are people who will say, I did the script you delivered, if you want a new script I'm going to charge you for it. So I'm just giving you a heads up about that. Not all, but some will. It's also worth knowing up front and discussing with the voiceover who your audience is, who you're speaking to. So I've mentioned that if English isn't a first language, then the voiceover may want to be slower and clearer, and you might want to write it so that it's fewer big words. But if you want a bit of character and a bit of personality to match something about your business, then something, you might want a regional accent, or you might want something a bit chattier and that kind of thing. So well worth discussing that with the voiceover as well, and knowing what you want in that area. I'm going to get on to prices now. Prices will vary from voiceover to voiceover, and they will probably cost you more than you expect, and there's various reasons for this. Even a 30-second voiceover is probably going to take, I don't know, 10 minutes in the studio plus 20-30 minutes of editing time, and then you know, the fact that they've got the studio, you actually have to pay for the fact that they have that equipment in that studio, because you're not paying, you know, if you're paying for a studio as well, you'd be paying a couple of £100 an hour for that. So that will be incorporated into the cost. You then will need to find out about buyout. So a lot of voiceovers are sold on the basis that you license it. It remains owned by the person who recorded it, the person who voiced it, but you license it. So you want to know, you know, if I'm only going to be using this for a short while, the license is going to be less. If I want this to live on my website for maybe 5-10 years, I don't want to have to suddenly pay again next year for the use of the voiceover. So it's worth discussing what kind of buyout you want and getting the voiceover without any future sort of complications where they come back a year later and go, right, okay, the buyout is expired on that, and it's now going to cost you X if you want to keep using it. I do want to say, you could do the voiceover yourself. And I think for some businesses, it really works if there's a personality behind that business, and if that person can also be the voice of the business, you know what? Why not? Now, the things I'd recommend is get a great studio. Do not use your iPhone for that, for the recording session, and get a producer as well, and a producer who can work with the person who's voicing to get it to work, to get the script to work, to get the delivery to work, to get the pacing to work, and you know, who knows how to audio edit as well, because you know, you might do half a great take and half a great take, and they can just stick the 2 together to make a whole great take. It is well worth considering that if there is a personality at the top of your business who is your business, and I'm thinking of things like there's businesses like, I remember being impressed by the guy who owns King of Shaves, because he runs their Twitter account, and you feel an instant connection with the business through that Twitter account because it's the person who runs it. He can make the decisions. He does make the decisions. He can be absolutely, you know, 100% confident that what he's saying is the voice of the business. And so when it comes to putting a voice to your business, it might be worth thinking about that one as well. You might be surprised how well it sounds. I will say that if you are going to be the person recording, it's well worth, if you're not used to it, having somebody else to listen to it and say whether it's good or bad. Don't go back and listen to it yourself, because we all hate the sound of our own voices. Think of who you're talking to. Try and learn your script if it's not too long, and maybe ad-lib around it, because then if you start ad-libbing around a script, you are more likely to speak more naturally at that point. If you're thinking, actually, I want to be speaking to a female upmarket customer, why not put a picture of that kind of person in front of you so that you are speaking to them? Maybe you want to be speaking to a mate down the pub, put a picture of your best mate and you're speaking to your best mate. Little things like that, you'll be surprised how it can change how the voice sounds. And I think I'm coming to the end of my 20 minutes now. I just want to conclude by saying that, we spend so much time on our branding and our logo and maybe our website, and that actually the voice that is the person who answers your phone, if it goes straight to a system that says, welcome to Emma Hignett Limited, who would you like to be put through to? For sales, dial 1, for accounts, dial 2, that kind of thing. What voice are people meeting? Are they meeting one that really is your business? It's professional, it's efficient, has it got the right character? So it's well worth thinking about your voice as much a part of your branding as any other thing you do, and as much a part of your communications, which is why I'm coming back to PR. It does link into, it's the bit that talks to your customers, and they're so used to people talking to them now that the voice that talks for your business is now as important as any other element of your branding. Get it right and stick it, and it can make a massive difference. Get it right, and people, it goes, they'll be watching that video and the voice is talking to them and it's going in more. You know how when we're sitting in a car and you're on your own in the car and you're listening to the radio and you find yourself talking back to the radio? So that's what you want with the voice for your business, is that it becomes something that your customers are interacting with. It's the sound of your business, it's the brand of your business, it completes your business, and it is absolutely 100% right. Might take some finding, but it's well worth it, and it's a massive part of your communications package. I hope you found that valuable. As I said, I'm hoping that I am here on the day and able to answer your questions. If not, you can get me through my website, which is emmahignett.com. Nice talking to you.